Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Hello, Ken. Jen will be here in a moment. She's in the restroom real quick, so she'll be back here in a moment. Um, wow. The news is insane today. It's pretty well off the charts. I couldn't even tell you just off the top of my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 tabs open. And I could have actually pulled open a lot more, but I was trying to keep it somewhat reasonable. So it has been a very, very big news day. As far as updates, I'm feeling a little bit better. I don't know what this is. I am feeling a little bit better though. So hopefully tomorrow I'll even feel even better yet, and things will go. I did mess around with, I was trying to fix my solar panel today. I've got a semi-flexible solar panel, one of the earlier on ones that I got, and it won't do anything, and so I was messing with it today, and the odd thing was, it was just sitting here in the living room, and I took my multi-tester, I popped the cap off where the wires go inside the little box at the top. I popped the top of that box off, and I took my multi-tester and I was taking a reading in there, and sure enough, indoor, I was showing some voltage. I'm like, oh, okay, so I took it outside. Sure enough, bam, I was right up to the needed voltage. So then I got stuff to get. Well, I had to drain the battery down. I used the EcoFlow River, and I had to drain the battery down a little bit so I could recharge it. And so I drained the battery down about halfway, and took it out there, and sure enough, got it all plugged up, and nothing. I'm like, and I thought, well, maybe it could be the diode. The diode could be on its way going out, and once it's under load, it loses its connection. It opens up and it loses its connection. But so that was my initial thought. And I got to just playing around with it. That's I'm big about the hammer test. I didn't use a hammer on it, but instead it's a semi-flexible panel. So instead of using a hammer on it, I just started flexing it in different places. And sure enough, I found it. And I don't know if there's any way possible I can fix it. But sure enough, near the bottom of the panel, there's a trace apparently that's not making a good connection. So I do have an idea, and that idea is to try to find exactly where that trace is, see if I can possibly drill a hole next to it, and maybe use a rivet and a couple of washers, and see if maybe I can add a little bit of pressure to where that's not making a good connection. I don't know. It sounds like a good redneck fix to me, so I'll give it a try. Maybe. I mean, I might find something else out too. It's really, there's no way to get that backing off of there without causing a lot of damage in the process to be able to fix it that I know of. I was watching some videos and stuff on it. Yeah, I think they're pretty much lost causes if you've got an issue down in the panels, so... luckily, they're not anything that I'm depending on, so that's the most important part. It's not something that I have to have, thankfully. So, but let that be a lesson. Be very, very careful, especially as semi-flexible panels. I'm hoping these new portable panels, I'm hoping that they hold up, because they are cool. I took it out again today, the EcoFlow 60 watt. And that thing, it is handy. It's very convenient, and it's cool, and it is. I have to admit, it's really easy to set up. And today, I plugged it up. I didn't have the camera out there. I wasn't planning on shooting video or anything. And I actually had over 50 watts. So when I set the panel up, I got to give credit where credit's due. You guys know I hate those portable panels. I gotta give credit where credit's due. I actually hit over 50 watts. I think it was like 53, 54. It bounced around, and so that's pretty good. I gotta hand it at that. It's pretty good. So anyway, Man. Yeah, solar, in my opinion, solar or some type of alternative energy is a must, especially for the coming time. I think that we're going to be really seeing some issues. Again, Jen today saw it. Somebody she knows had posted on Facebook, on social media, about their power bill, and I believe it over doubled. I'll have to verify with her if I remember when she gets back in here, but I believe it over doubled her power bill, and so I think about this, and not only do I have to ask questions like, how in the hell are people going to be able to do this? I also have to ask questions like, what is it that people might do because they're pissed off about this? So we kind of have to look at that too, and we have to consider that. Not only do we have possible threats with cyber attacks, and I'm going to be real honest with you, I'm not really concerned with the EMP threat. I think that's taken things to a level that's really no different than just all-out nuclear conflict, and I think that's a line that nobody really wants to cross. However, I do see that a cyber attack would be a line that another nation might cross. That's a little different. So, got that consideration, and of course you've got just the fact that the system can't handle the load. So, it's crazy what's going on, and I've got some of that stuff in with the tabs too. Like I said, I've got several tabs open. The news is kind of across the board. We do start out though when it with the war kind of stuff that's going on. I'm shocked, and at the same time, I don't know if this is just okay. So I got to thinking about this when I saw the headline that the show's titled after. I got to thinking, I always look at as many different angles as I can. I wonder if what China is doing right now is giving possibly even everybody a way out. I'm just saying. And it could even possibly be encouraged, and I don't know if it'd be encouraged by anybody else, but I think it might be encouraged by Putin. It's just my opinion. This is 100% my opinion. But I don't think Putin wants an all-out conflict. I don't. And I don't think that he just wants to just go and mow over countries and, I don't think that's his intent. And I could be wrong, but I don't think that's his intent. And I think that there's a lot of involved parties that are starting to see things really spinning out of control. And so I can possibly see one or more of the actors wanting to kind of tone things down a little bit, because it's not good. I listened to Monkey Works earlier today, and he had said something, and I'm going to try my best to remember it, but I think he said something like both Russia and China just put like 70 ships out apiece. If that's what I recall correctly. It's like or did I say ships? I'm sorry, submarines. 70 submarines apiece. That's 140 submarines floating around out there. Wow. So he also showed, and I'll bring this up, he also showed an aircraft that flew down, just kind of, I guess, like just north of Venezuela, that kind of area, and was checking things out there because there have been Russian and Chinese activity down in that area. So apparently they've been down there snooping around, seeing if there's much going on. And thank you, Ken, for the confirmation. Yeah, that's what I thought I remembered, and that was like, wow, that my jaw was hanging open. Man, things are definitely in a very, very tense situation, and I'm hoping that all this stuff that's going on, all this stuff that we're looking at now, I'm hoping that there's some way that it just settles down. I'm not smoking hopium or nothing like that. But, man, this stuff's going to get really, really bad. That is what my concern is. Wow. Hang on. Just had a headline pop up. And I've got to share the headline, even though if we're not going to talk about it right now. I'm not even going to talk about it. But Prince Charles avoids probe. So I don't have any details. I don't know if it's an alien probe. I don't know who's doing the probing. But, no, apparently Prince of Wales' charitable fund faced scrutiny over bags of cash it received from Qatari royal family. That's the gist of it. Anyway, though, let me jump on over into the to the tabs here that I've got open, because there are quite a few. Have a sip of coffee before we get started. Alright, you guys might want to go along for the ride. China calls for immediate ceasefire in Ukraine. So I'll read on into this a little bit. China calls for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine and the resumption of talks between all of the parties involved in the conflict, including the U.S. and NATO, Chinese ambassador to the U.S. Ken Gang said on Wednesday. Speaking at the Aspen Security Forum in Colorado, Ken said that, and I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, said that the ongoing conflict in Ukraine was spilling over and causing multiple crises, including economic downturn, an influx of migrants, and energy and food shortages. So what China is calling for is immediate ceasefire, resumption of peace talks. All parties involved should be engaged, including between Russia and the U.S. and its NATO allies, the ambassador said. He called on the sides to sit down, calm down, to find a way out of the dilemma, which would be based on the principle of accommodating each other's legitimate concerns. Only by doing so can we achieve peace, and can we restore the security in Europe, which should be stable, should be comprehensive, should be balanced, effective, and sustainable, the diplomat said, adding that his position was shared by other developing countries. According to the ambassador, Beijing believes that national sovereignty and the territorial integrity of all countries must be respected, and that the legitimate security concerns of all countries must be taken seriously. Meanwhile, 2 days ago, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmitry Kuleba declared that peace negotiations with Moscow would make sense only after Russia's defeat on the battlefield. By saying so, he echoed the remarks of EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell, who claimed that this war in Ukraine will be won on the battlefield. So, I mean, it sounds to me, I don't know that, oh, hey, Steve, what's up? She'll be in here in just a moment. She's in the restroom, so she'll be right in here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see anything bad with this. And I'm going to be real honest with you. I absolutely love what it is that he had to say. Absolutely. Now, I know it's one of those things where speeches are written and all that good stuff. But I like what he had to say, and I think it's a good message. And I do. I hope that everybody takes up on the offer, or on the thought, or the notion, or whatever. I really do. Because, man, I'm telling you, it'll get ugly. Real super ugly. Things are going to be ugly as it is. If we stopped all this that's going on right now and actually put an effort towards fixing things, times would still be a bit rough for a while. So that is what I'm looking at. And every day that we go on with all these conflicts going on is putting us that much further behind on being able to put together some of the. And when I say infrastructure, understand I'm not meaning just like infrastructure like you would normally think. I'm talking about manufacturing and stuff like that, getting our jobs back, getting our manufacturing back, actually making stuff here that we buy. That's going to take a while. That doesn't happen overnight. And in order for that to happen, you have to have a government that is stay the hell off of people's necks and let them create and build businesses without all the nightmarish stuff that they try to put on them. But I'm probably speaking to the choir. Man. Let's see. Guess we'll continue on to the next. Next rant, please. U.S. to send more HIMARS to Ukraine. Ukraine will receive 4 more high-mobility artillery rocket systems. I think I read that they sent 18 before? I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know where I'm pulling that number from. Right, might be right out of my buttocks. Anyway, they'll receive 4 more high-mobility artillery rocket systems from Washington as part of the next security assistance package, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin announced on Wednesday. Later this week, we'll roll out our next presidential drawdown package of weapons, ammunition, and equipment for Ukraine, Austin said while hosting a virtual meeting of the U.S.-led Ukraine Contact Group. It will include 4 more HIMARS advanced rocket systems, which the Ukrainians have been using so effectively and which have made such a difference on the battlefield, and will include more rounds of MLRS and artillery ammunition, he added. According to the Pentagon, once delivered, the new package will bring the total number of HIMARS in Ukraine possession to 16. So I was wrong there. They've had 12, I guess. Last Friday, Ukraine's defense minister Alexei Reznikov told the Financial Times that Kiev was confident the West would send more aid, including 300-kilometer range munitions for the HIMARS. Well, why not? Why you send them some? Can you throw some my way? I mean, I'm just wanting to check out the systems. So, I'll do a review. That's it. I'll do a YouTube review on the HIMARS rocket system. Okay, just provide me with one and some munitions, and gonna be a good day, Tater. Let's see. Anyway, HIMARS can fire guided rockets at a range of up to 80 kilometers, but can also deploy tactical ballistic missiles a distance of up to 300 kilometers. Washington previously said it would not supply Ukraine with missiles having a range of 300 kilometers out of fear they could be used to strike Russian territory, thus greatly escalating the conflict between Kiev and Moscow. I think it's a step-by-step movement. We give them proof that we can use it with precision and sophistication, and we get more and longer range, Reznikov stated. So, Anyway, I will read this one here. It says, however, according to the spokesman for the Army of the Donetsk People Republic, Edward Bassarin, Ukrainian forces may have already received 300-kilometer range HIMARS missiles. DPR troops have found pieces of munitions with a range of 110 kilometers to 120 kilometers, which meant that Kiev could have the 300-kilometer missiles as well, Bassarin posited in an interview with Russia's Russia 1 TV channel on Tuesday. So, it's crazy. It's definitely going to escalate the situation. And what makes things even worse, yeah, I know. You know that we could be losing a bunch of military members for not complying. Well, we aren't doing very well on recruitment either. And this blows my mind that they would even be messing around. You know what I mean? It's just, again, this has got to be a concerted effort, a planned takedown. Without a doubt. It's got to be. U.S. Army sees unprecedented recruitment crisis. It says here the U.S. Army has so far recruited just around half of the 60,000 new soldiers it hoped to enlist by October 1st, officials said on Tuesday, saying that if the downward trend is not reversed, it could have a significant impact on combat readiness in the coming years. We've got unprecedented challenges with both a post-COVID-19 environment and labor market, but also competition with private companies that have changed their incentives over time. The Vice Chief of Staff for the Army, General Joseph Martin, told a House Armed Service Subcommittee, according to AP. I'm trying to read too fast. The U.S. military has had a difficult time attracting new soldiers, posting its lowest recruitment numbers in decades this year. Last month, the Pentagon admitted it was 23% behind recruiting goals. The problem has been widely blamed on bad advertising. Specifically, the recent trend toward woke advertising, which has been widely mocked on social media, and a sloppy, antiquated recruitment system that places too much responsibility in the hands of outside contractors. Now, remember, this is RT. But I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying, they're going to be more likely to point that stuff out than what you're going to hear on American media. I don't know if mainstream media in the U.S. even knows this. Facing the most severe recruiting problems across all military branches, the U.S. Army is currently offering bonuses of up to $50,000, which could turn out to be much less in practice for a 6-year enlistment, but that is struggling to find enough volunteers. Martin projected that the Army could fall from the expected 476,000 troops to 466,400 by the end of this fiscal year, as to the few as 445,000 by the end of 2023. Damn, what is it with this article? Anyway, yeah, not doing good. Doing good. And if we do go into conflict, not only do I see them reenacting the draft, but I honestly see them drafting women as well. In fact, all in consideration, I see them drafting all 72 genders, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. American Express paycheck fears, says poll. And this, by the way, when I read this headline, it really set me back. And the reason why, I've said it on the show many times, that, when the majority of the people are having a rough time, that is when you're going to see the unrest start. That's when you're going to see the riots, the unrest. Whew. We're pretty well, numbers-wise, we're there. Numbers-wise, we're absolutely there. People just haven't started behaving badly on a mass scale yet. People's definitely behaving badly, without a doubt. And there's, pockets of groups of people, but it's not a big mass thing. But I think that's a limited time only thing. It says here some 58% of American workers worry their paycheck is not enough to support them and their families, according to a poll commissioned by American Staffing Association and published on Wednesday. Financial anxiety was especially strong among parents with minor children, 66%, and Hispanic workers, 69%, the survey found. As a result of these concerns, 28% of adults plan to search for a new and presumably better-paying job within the next 6 months, while 27% said they would look for a second job to help bridge the financial gap. Millennials and Generation Z adults were far more likely to seek out higher-paying jobs, 40% and 36% respectively. Then baby boomer parents, just 13%, of whom planned to look for better employment. Nearly half of the older generation worried their age could present a barrier to being hired for a more desirable position. You know, I've been standing out on that street for weeks. Nothing, man, and I got my leg out and everything. Nothing. I don't think Jen's catching on yet. Yeah, now she did. Millennials and Generation Z adults were far more likely to seek out higher paying jobs, 40% and 36%. Oh, wait, I read that. Sorry. Even formerly well-compensated workers have seen their paycheck cover substantially less in 2022, with inflation at 40-year highs, than before the COVID-19 pandemic and the money printing that accompanied it. I can do it. I think I can. Average okay, I can't do it. When I say hourly, yeah, I can't do it. Average hourly earnings adjusted for inflation have dropped 3.6% over the last year alone. Let's see, another survey conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau. Damn, I just can't spoke tonight. Similar conclusions, with about a third of respondents reporting it was somewhat or very difficult to cover household expenses. And I'm like, not coughing my head off or nothing like that. I just can't speak. Speak, Ubu, speak. All right. I know you're going to love this one. Big Pharma jacked up drug prices over 1,000 times this year, says research. U.S. pharmaceutical industry has raised drug prices some 1,186 times this year, according to Patients for Affordable Drugs, an advocacy group seeking to rein in the sky-high cost of prescription drugs. The group published their analysis on Wednesday. Despite record profits, pharmaceutical companies jacked up the prices on 133 products between June 24th and July 5th alone, the group found, noting that the median price increase for 2022 was 5%. At that distance, it's hard for me to tell a comma from a period, sorry. So sometimes I pause, and it's, never mind. In July alone, 64 drug companies hiked their prices, according to Patients for Affordable Drugs. Companies like Pfizer, who have made unprecedented profits on their COVID-19 vaccine, have nevertheless continued increasing their prices on other drugs. Pfizer's leukemia medicine, Besponsa, for example, has seen 4 price hikes since the pandemic began and now retails for $21,056 for a single vial. One vial. Man, I just want to know what kind of wood that we should burn them at the stake with. I'm just, asking for a friend. Man, this is insane. Insane. Goes on to say another company, Amgen, has upped its price for autoimmune disease drug Enbrel so much and so often since acquiring the rights to the drug in 2002 that it outstripped even the record-beating U.S. inflation rate. Damn. Between that acquisition and 2020, the company increased the drug price 27 times until more price hikes took place this year, despite a 2020 investigation into Amgen's pricing habits by the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, in which the drug company practices were roundly condemned. Oh yeah, we're just gonna condemn you. We're not gonna do anything about it, but bad boy. Bad boy. Ridiculous. I know, I'm ridiculous too, but nonetheless. Noting that Americans are still struggling to make ends meet in the aftermath of the COVID-19 depression, Patients for Affordable Drugs founder David Mitchell said the industry was continuing to raise drug prices with no regard for the health and financial well-being of Americans. He pointed out that there was widespread support for capping the cost of prescription. Yeah, prescription drugs, as opposed to non-prescription drugs, which you can find on your local street corner, across the political spectrum, and questioned why nothing had been done. Sorry. No, I'm not. Not a bit sorry. While Senate Democrats announced a bill earlier this month that would require Medicare to negotiate prices with some pharmaceutical companies, critics have pointed out that the legislation only applied to those enrolled in the government's Medicare program. Given that just 18.4% of Americans were on Medicare as of 2020, that leaves the lion's share of drug consumers without any means of decreasing their own prescription costs. The bill could also risk inspiring drug companies to price their new products even higher, given that it does not require companies to negotiate prices until the drug has existed for at least 7 years. Nearly half the new brand-name prescription drugs launch with a yearly price tag of $150,000 or more. According to an article published last month in the Journal of American Medical Association, the paper's writers also noted that newly launched prescription drugs cost 20% more year over year from 2008 till 2021. Insanity. Insanity. And they're doing it because we allow it. I'm telling you, we allow it. They've got headquarters, right? We allow it. And I'm not saying to do anything like burn down the headquarters. No, you're not Antifa. I'm not saying that. But it doesn't mean that you can't assemble, I don't know, maybe a couple 100,000 of your closest friends. That'll make a point. Hey, we can put them in a baseball stadium. We can put them in a football stadium. We can put them at a big-ass, venue, with several stuff. Man, if we can do that, then why in the hell can't we actually do something meaningful with a group of people that size? Something actually meaningful. It blows my mind. I've been bitching about that for a long time. Couple decades at this point, I've been bitching about that. Because, come on. Put people together for a monster truck rally, sell out huge stadiums. I just think it's nuts. Biden announces future climate orders. Thought I'd read just a little of this. I'm not going to read it all. President Joe Biden announced on Wednesday that his administration would take executive action to combat the apparent climate emergency in the coming weeks. While it was initially rumored that the president would declare a national emergency over the issue, he stopped short of this drastic step. Speaking at a shuttered coal power plant in Massachusetts, Biden declared that since Congress is not acting as it should, he would use his executive powers to combat the climate crisis in the absence of executive action. Biden explained that he would begin signing executive orders in the coming days to fund flood defense programs, give money to low-income families to cover heating costs, and establish massive offshore wind farms in the Gulf of Mexico. Biden's decision to rule by decree on climate issues came after the West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat, told party leadership last week that he would not support a raft of climate provisions in the Build Back Better Act, a $2 trillion funding bill that cannot pass an evenly split Senate without his support. Manchin said that such a massive spending bill would add fuel to the inflation fire. Media reports on Tuesday suggested that Biden would declare a national emergency to broaden his power to set climate policy, but the White House later said that such a step would not be taken. I honestly think, I don't know, that's probably not correct. I was going to say, I honestly think he knows better, but no, I don't think there's a matter of that. I think these idiots are going to do what they're going to do, regardless. And they've proven that. So, this came up, what was it, yesterday? About how some folks were asking that family, not just folks, let me clarify that. Families of 9/11 victims were asking Trump to please cancel this event. And last night, I said he wouldn't do it because the money meant more to him. Well, I bring to you this article. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has advised golfers to join the Saudi-backed LIV Golf League ahead of its next event as his Trump National Golf Bedminster in New Jersey. All of those golfers that remain loyal to the very disloyal PGA and in all of its different forms will pay big price when the inevitable merger with LIV comes. And you get nothing but a big thank you from PGA officials who are making millions of dollars a year, Trump warned on Truth Social. If you don't take the money now, you will get nothing after the merger takes place and only say how smart the original signees were, he claimed. Trump's advice comes despite the 9/11 Justice Group criticizing players that have already jumped ship and also sending Trump a letter asking him to reconsider his support for the tour as they believed that the Saudi government was complicit in the 2001 attacks on American soil. Absolutely. The Saudi nation is largely responsible for the death of our loved ones and for the horrific attack on America, and you know it, said 9/11 Justice in the document. The former president correctly speculated in 2016 that Saudi Arabia knocked down the Twin Towers, and now the FBI has released the documents to prove him right, noted the son of a victim of the attacks, Brett Eagleson, to CNN when blasting Trump. Yet he is choosing money over America, so much for America first, a sad day. The LIV's emergence on the golfing landscape has caused a civil war of sorts in the sport. And just going on to talk about it, which I'm not interested in promoting. But this is ridiculous, in my opinion. I think it's ridiculous. I think he should have pulled his support. I mean, come on. This is the guy that, remember when he promised that he was gonna crack open the 9/11 truth? And now, all those people that he motivated to vote for him because he said those types of things, he's slapping them in the face. My opinion. CIA director says Iran never resumed nuclear weapons program. Thought that was kind of interesting. Says here in 2018, the U.S. unilaterally pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran and 6 other nations, claiming without evidence that Tehran had secretly resumed its nuclear weapons program and imposing maximum pressure economic sanctions on the Southwest Asian nation. William Burns, director of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, said on Wednesday that contrary to 4 years of claims by Washington, Iran never resumed the nuclear weapons program it abandoned in 2004. Burns said the same thing in December at Wall Street at the Wall Street Journal's annual CEO Council, according to CBS News. However, that hasn't stopped senior U.S. officials from repeatedly claiming, even the Biden administration, which Burns serves, that Iran has been nearing a breakout point and would be capable of building a nuclear bomb within weeks. For Israel officials, the claims go back even further. I'm pretty sure they've already got one or more. There is an enriched amount of uranium in volumes that we have not seen before, and it's disturbing, Heyman said. At the same time, in all other aspects of the Iranian nuclear project, we see no progress, not in the weapons project, in the financial area, not in any other sector. After the Trump administration unilaterally pulled out of the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action in 2018 and reimposed destructive economic sanctions against Iran, Tehran began backing away from the commitments it had made under the deal, which included accepting strict limitations on the quality and quantity of uranium-235 it could refine. So, I'm not going to read the rest, but it's, who knows? I think they've already got one. Now, the only reason why I could think that they would come out and say things like this, the CIA director, this is the Trump administration, and during the Obama administration, they funneled a bunch of money to Iran. A ton of money to Iran. And so, if they're going to go back along that agenda, well then, they're going to have to start turning things back the way that, Obama was like giving them tons and tons of money. It was unbelievable. So, I would expect to probably see that before Biden gets out, as in a big another chunk of money. I mean, a huge chunk of money. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Chinese state media threatens U.S. with unbearable consequences. Now, yesterday I reported on some threats. These are new threats. This is not the same thing as yesterday. If House Speaker Nancy Pelosi goes through with her Taiwan visit in August, China will consider it a strategic level provocation that would push relations with the U.S. off a cliff. The newspaper Global Times said in a series of harsh editorials this week, citing several experts and government officials. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has already said the visit would have a grave impact and violate the existing agreements between Washington and Beijing. Neither Pelosi nor Taipei has officially confirmed the impending visit, but Financial Times reported that the 82-year-old Speaker of the House would take a congressional delegation to Taiwan next month, citing 6 people familiar with the situation. Her previously rumored visit in April did not take place, ostensibly due to Pelosi contracting COVID-19. If she goes ahead this time, Chinese experts told Global Times the visit would amount to a provocation prompting a military response from Beijing with hard consequences for the already troubled American economy. China needs to make its determination clear and show its strengths and let the U.S. side decide to avoid a crisis and ensure a relatively stable situation or make the turbulent world more chaotic, the outlet noted. A separate unsigned Global Times editorial piece warned that if Pelosi really visits Taiwan, she would be included in China's sanctions list and her family's assets would be frozen immediately. Global Times noted that this wouldn't be the first visit by a House Speaker to Taiwan, as Newt Gingrich did so in 1997. However, he was a Republican in opposition to President Bill Clinton's government, which had shown sincerity and made efforts to fix ties with China after the 1996 crisis over the island. Today, Pelosi and President Joe Biden are both Democrats, and the China-U.S. relations are very intense, the outlet pointed out. If the visit eventually happens, it would not be a miscalculation but an intentional provocation by the U.S. side, Liu Zhang, an expert on U.S. studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, told the Global Times. If Washington ignores Beijing's warnings, we will see the Chinese-U.S. relations fall off a cliff for sure, he added. So, again, things not looking so swell. Oh, man. Let's see. Alright, that is all of the tabs I had open. Hang on, gotta itch my ear. Sorry, headphones drive me up a wall. And it don't really matter which kind, whether they're the little ones you stick in the ear or big, they drive me nuts. Alright, let's see. Okay, let me go ahead and run through the headlines and we'll hop on out of here. And I don't know, I haven't been able to sleep real well, and it takes me forever and a day to get to sleep, but hopefully I get some good rest tonight, man. Let's see. Russia and Ukraine were close to a peace deal in March, says Putin. These are all from, or at least that I tweeted out this morning. Twitter wins first battle against Musk. Bill Gates congratulates India. France to nationalize country's biggest power provider. Record heat wave threatens EU food security, says Bloomberg. Passport warning issued to Russians in EU state. White House makes annexation claim. Sri Lanka elects new president amid crisis. U.S. and U.K. want real war between Russia and the EU, says Lavrov. Russian troops given new orders in Ukraine. UK inflation hits 40-year high. German energy giant bailout plan revealed. Syria cuts diplomatic ties with Ukraine, which I thought that was another important escalation. There was, like I said, there were several others that I could have definitely brought up into the tabs that they would have been worthy, if you will. There can be no winner in nuclear war, says the Russian foreign minister. Ukraine wants to halt foreign debt payments, says media. UK soldiers banned from buying sex abroad. I mean, you know. Now, they didn't say anything about them buying sex from abroad. They just said they can't buy sex abroad. I don't know. I'm looking for technicalities, maybe. Sorry. I just had to have fun with that. Didn't mean any disrespect, so, you know, don't your Zims and Z's and Zos and all of that send me Z-mails and zetting me with Zeth. Let's see. Ukraine sells billions in gold it may not have, says Peter Schiff. Russia's FM reveals who wins from lack of bright leaders in Europe. IMF warns of consequences of Russian gas shutoff. Wikipedia designated as lawbreaker by Russia. They're still, you know, feeding into the U.S. government. EU tells member countries to conserve gas. Let's see. Lavrov tells RT what would push Moscow to redraw the front line. Let's see. Russia's Lavrov talks Ukraine. Oh, that was a full video interview that I shared out. Putin to head all Russian children and youth movement. That almost has an eerie sound to it, don't it? Zaporizhzhia or something nuclear power plant attacked by Ukrainian drones, but apparently, supposedly there was nothing serious that happened as a result. Putin suggests motive behind Canada's gas turbine delay. UN chief under huge pressure over Ukraine, says Russian foreign minister. Kissinger warns Biden on China. Russia starts building Egypt's first nuclear power plant. U.S. school mascot dumped for Nazi imagery. Former president lists sins of Russia. Coca-Cola is all chemical, says Putin. Ukraine shelling leaves one person dead, says Russian governor. Ukrainian official continues offending Germans after losing his post in Berlin. There's quite a few headlines today. Putin predicts revolutionary changes. Most investors expect European recession, says survey. Oh yeah, gotta love this. U.S. administration explains how soaring gas prices are actually a benefit. To who? Not us. Boris Johnson quotes the Terminator in Parliament. I guess he is saying it's a benefit. He's benefiting a hell of a lot from all these oil deals and stuff he's making. Only 2 candidates left for UK PM post. Diversity of Western weapons creates trouble for Ukraine, says media. EU approves new round of sanctions. Support for more sanctions fall as cost of living grows, says a poll. Russian forces repel neo-Nazi attack in Donbass. Biden appears to admit he has a serious illness. And who knows? I mean, there was somebody that put a montage together of him and his little, trying to shake nobody's hand things and talking to people that aren't there. Somebody put together a montage of those, and I was watching them, and I was like, it was like yesterday, I think I did this. And I looked right at him, and I said, he's got Alzheimer's. No doubt. No doubt. My grandmother unfortunately had that, and she lived with us for a while. And I know what it looks like. I well know what it looks like. And he's got Alzheimer's. There is no two ways about it. U.S. admits debt problems hurts UN standing. Biden announces I covered that one. We must be getting close to the top. Where did it jump to? I actually covered a lot of the later ones. Biden unveils U.S. military thoughts on Taiwan. And then I already talked about Prince Charles and him avoiding a probe. So. I don't know, man. This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. I told you it was a nuts news day. I meant what I said. I don't think tomorrow's going to be any better. I really don't. We'll see. We'll see. But heads on a swivel. No doubt about that. Anyway, I am going to get out of here. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow and do it again. I hope you all have a good evening. Hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.